Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his company Ineos has just bought a 25% stake in Man United, making United part of the Ineos multi-club ownership project that already owns Nice and the Swiss club Lausanne Sport. This kind of football club investment, where one owner or ownership group buys significant stakes in multiple clubs, was pioneered by the Red Bull Group in the late 2000s, with their purchase and rebranding of Red Bull Salzburg, the New York Red Bulls, and RB Leipzig. In 2019, they also added Bragantino from Brazil to their portfolio. Since the 2000s, a lot has happened in football, and the number of clubs that are part of multi-club projects are rising at an astronomical rate. In the last 6 years alone, the number of clubs involved in multi-club projects has increased from 84 to 301. But why? Why is this model so attractive to owners? And is it threatening the integrity of the game? The most well-known multi-club ownership project, or MCO, is definitely the City Group. Founded in 2013, their vision is to create a globe-spanning footballing entity, with Manchester City as their crown jewel. Other examples include Todd Bowley's Blue Co., the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund, and 777 Partners, who have recently been looking to add Everton to their portfolio. To understand why this model is becoming the norm, you have to understand diversification. The process of a business enlarging or varying its range of products or field of operation. In any other business, you will see the same. Coca-Cola doesn't just produce Coca-Cola. They also own Fanta, Sprite, and Costa Coffee. I could go on and on here with different examples, but you get the picture. These owners are diversifying their investment. In this way, football's biggest threat, relegation, isn't that critical. You can survive 1 or even 2 bad seasons for one of your clubs when you have 3 others that did alright. Other than diversification, the appeal for owners is shared data and scouting networks. For example, 777's Sevilla and Standard Liège most likely have a shared database with information on players from all around the world, which means that both clubs cut costs and are able to spend the extra money that they would have spent on scouts and analysts elsewhere. UEFA are, however, tackling this issue, as it gives clubs that are part of multi-club projects an unfair advantage, but more on that later. Clubs that are part of MCO projects can also benefit from, let's call it, friendlier transfer fees or loan agreements, should they do business with clubs that are part of the same MCO group. We have had cases of this for a while now, with, for example, the Red Bull clubs in Europe making 21 permanent transfers between them since 2013, and City loaning their academy products to Girona to help kickstart their life in La Liga. While this is also problematic, there is a new and arguably more dangerous version of this that we could see very soon. There was a lot of talk before the January window of Ruben Neves joining Newcastle on loan from PIF-owned Al Hilal, following Sandro Tonali's betting ban. And while it didn't happen, there still needs to be a conversation surrounding clubs in Europe with links to clubs outside of Europe. The danger with clubs outside of Europe and UEFA's control being part of MCO projects is that these clubs can help their European sister clubs bypass FFP, as they do not have to follow UEFA rules. Meaning that we could end up in a situation where, for example, Newcastle loans a player from any of the 4 PIF-owned clubs in Saudi Arabia and only pays a fraction of their extreme wages. This could also go the other way around, with Newcastle getting rid of their deadwood by selling to their Saudi counterparts for an inflated price. We saw this last summer with Alan Saint-Maximin's transfer to Al Ahly. The price was not inflated though, as his market value was actually higher than what was paid for him, according to Transfermarkt. While Saint-Maximin's transfer is the only clear example we have of this happening so far, Marco Verratti's transfer from PSG to Al Arabi was in a grey area. Verratti was told to pack his bags by Luis Enrique, as he would, quote, never play for PSG again. And while PSG and Al Arabi are not technically owned by the same company or person, One can speculate if there was a call between PSG owner and Qatar Sports Investment Chairman Nasser Al-Khelaifi and the Emir of Qatar, who owns Al Arabi, to make sure PSG got a much-needed cash injection in order to balance their books. There is also another issue, not involving the Gulf states' big money, but regular medium to small-sized clubs in France, Germany, Spain, Belgium and other European nations becoming dead clubs, whose only purpose is to send their best players to their Premier League counterpart. This is the fear of Lorient supporters in France. The club supporter group put out a statement in 2023 against their American owner Bill Foley, who also owns Bournemouth, expressing their deep concern. It is out of the question that we become a vulgar satellite club, a simple training center for the English parent company. Their fear is, as mentioned, that the club will only be serving as a place the American owner can form talent, who will ultimately be sent to England and Bournemouth for a cut price. While this is a great scenario for Bournemouth, for Lorient this is a death sentence. Lorient are currently just above the relegation zone, after selling their best players this summer for a combined 60 million euros, with the owners only reinvesting 20 million. There are also concerns over the European competitions losing their integrity, with clubs that have the same owners playing against each other. The hypothesis is that owners will instruct one of their teams to lose, so that the team that would gain the most revenue from progression progresses, but that seems unlikely.
Yeah, I can't believe that any football player, coach would ever be bought and told to lose a football game. It's not the way we're brought up. You know, we're from working class backgrounds, ordinarily football players. We don't get bought, we fight our hardest.
As I alluded to earlier, UEFA have taken some action, forcing Brighton and Aston Villa's owners to downsize their investment in Union Saint-Gilloise and Vitoria, respectively, also prohibiting them from using shared databases and scouting networks while the clubs play in the same European competition. An example of two clubs being owned by the same company and still being allowed into the same competition without downsizing investment is RB Leipzig and Salzburg. Despite clearly being affiliated, they were allowed to play against each other in the Europa League in 2018. They were given the green light after Salzburg let go of all employees that had links to Leipzig and the Red Bull Group. By doing this, they convinced UEFA that they were now operated by completely different personnel, and that in reality they had little to do with each other. If these two clubs with practically the same logo that have made over 20 transfers between them in the past 11 years, with 8 of them happening after 2018, managed to bypass UEFA restrictions with ease, I wonder how strict UEFA really are. The president of UEFA, Alexander Ceferin, had this to say about multi-club ownership on the overlap with Gary Neville.
We have to speak about these regulations and see what to do about it. There's more and more interest for this multi-club ownership, and we shouldn't just say no as for the investments also for multi-club ownership, but we have to see what kind of rules we set in that case, because the rules have to be strict.
Could it be that Manchester United and PSG might not be able to play against each other in the Champions League, that you may have to say one of them, Manchester United, can't play in the Champions League if PSG are in the Champions League, or Nice can't play in the Europa League if Manchester United are in the Europa League?
Yeah, but those are the current rules, which we have to rethink.
This doesn't exactly fill me with confidence. But even with more regulation from UEFA, there is little they can do about Saudi clubs loaning their overpaid stars to Newcastle for peanuts, unless they ban all transfers and loans between affiliated clubs, which is highly unlikely, and I am sure clubs would find a way to work around that as well. Multi-club ownership projects are the result of mixing football with business. Football has gone from just a sport to a way for billionaires to gamble their wealth. And a multi-club project is a business model that, along with most of today's owners, only considers one thing: profit. The bottom line is all that matters. Not the players, not the staff, not the community, and least of all, the fans. And I just wonder, where is this going to end?